All right, with George Zimmerman, the neighborhood, there's no arguing that this week's big story centers around the latest development in the Trayvon Martin case. George Zimmerman, the neighborhood watch volunteer who shot and killed Trayvon, is now in jail on second-degree murder charges.
Yeah, and that move has many, they've been screaming for it since the shooting, including Tampa activists. Michelle, you were here today with me again. Michelle Williams, I spoke to you earlier in the week. Thank you for being here.
And the other side of John, thank you, is Scott Barrish. He is a Second Amendment advocate, and we'd like to thank you for being here as well, Scott.
Okay, we're going to start with you, Michelle, because, words that you said that were recorded earlier in the week, you got a lot of heat for them, even on our Facebook page when I played the story of the interview that you and I did. Let's start, though, with the latest development in this Zimmerman case here, with him being arrested. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's going to be hard for Ms. Corey to prove second-degree murder. I just want the judicial process, him to get a fair trial. I think if he remains in jail, if there is no bond issue, it'll continue to kind of ease the racial tension that's going on right now. That
was a big issue earlier in the week. Does that satisfy you right now, the fact that he's arrested? Because
I'm extremely satisfied.
Okay, because you were very angry earlier in the week and very emotional when I spoke to you.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that second-degree murder in just a second again, Michelle, but first, Scott, I want to ask you, you believe that this is a blow to the Second Amendment, this case. Explain that to us.
Actually, first I want to say the death of Trayvon Martin, no matter what the outcome of the case is tragic. And so my heart goes out to his family. But let me answer your question. This isn't about gun rights. This is about self-defense rights. And we have this political firestorm occurring right now, and Florida politicians need to understand not to take a knee-jerk reaction to the stand your ground law. Self-defense is an inalienable right, and government should not regulate it.
This is a cloudy issue here, though, because we talk about the stand your ground law, and really, when we look at this situation, only two people know exactly what happened. One of those individuals, tragically, is not with us anymore. So to come forward with the stand your ground law, this could be a situation where it may have applied at first, but not, later on in the case. If Zimmerman kept approaching him and kept on pursuing him, the stand your ground law may not apply here.
Well, you got to separate two things. You got to separate stand your ground law and the right to self-defense. There's certain situations in which you can retreat, but in 2005, that requirement was removed from the law. But then there's situations in which there's absolutely no way to retreat, and self-defense is just self-defense, and stand your ground is not applicable in those cases.
All right, Scott. Well, tell us, Michelle, you touched on this, proving second-degree murder. Well, according to one local attorney that we've been talking to all week about this case, the state could, they agreed with you, have a hard time proving a murder to charge. And to prove second-degree murder beyond a reasonable doubt, the state attorney has to produce evidence that Trayvon's death was caused by a criminal act and that George Zimmerman had ill will and hatred and initiated the fight. Now, if they can't prove that, the jury has lesser charges to consider, manslaughter or culpable negligence, or they could find him not guilty at all altogether. Well, Scott, what is your thought on that? Do you think that second-degree murder will be hard to prove?
It's going to be extremely difficult to prove. They can definitely prove that the victim is dead. It's going to be very difficult to prove an illegal act by the defendant caused the death of Trayvon Martin. And it's also going to be extremely difficult to prove and I'm going to paraphrase, the depraved mind to the sanctity of life. That's not the exact phrase that the juries get instructions on, and there's very clear defined definitions of an act and also the depraved mind. So that's a very, very high burden that the state attorney needs to overcome beyond a reasonable doubt.
Do you agree with that, Michelle?
Yeah.
Well, my thoughts on that are this, that Mr. Zimmerman was given a direct order by a trained 911 operator, and he was instructed not to follow Trayvon Martin. And from the release of the tape and what's been coming out and the outcome, the affidavits and everything just like that, and America watched him and heard him follow this young man. I have to say this, that guns don't kill people. Stupid people with guns kill people. And we had a vigilante that had a gun, and he shot and killed a person who didn't have. You can't bring a knife to a gunfight. Trayvon Martin had a bag of Skittles and an iced tea. that was an unfair fight.
No matter what the outcome is here, and say the outcome is George Zimmerman gets off, do you think that calms the situation as far as racial tensions go?
Well, and no, it's not. No, it's not. I mean, I think right now, we Americans, we're still in the uproar that, you know, with the whole Casey Anthony case. You know, here it is, we watched this young lady walk scot-free, and we know that she did something to her child because that baby is no longer here. You know, and I don't want this case to get wrapped up in a political election either.
We should mention laws have changed, too, after the Casey Anthony case. There have been laws changed, so sometimes that does provoke change. Well, I want to thank both of you for coming
Michelle
in
and Scott, thank you very much.
and talking to us. And you can count on ABC Action News for the very latest developments in the Trayvon Martin case on air and online at abcactionnews.com. And you can also join our conversation that is currently underway on Facebook. Stick around to meet Ginger. She loves kids, kitties, and is eager